r/no sleep, posted by Reddit user SpaceGeneralAmerica. The Midnight Game, Part 2. Not on Earth anymore. How in the fuck could we not be on Earth anymore? I texted as much to Greg. His response chilled me to the bone. Guys, I can see outside. The green light, I think it's a star. Josie was the first to respond. Bullshit. This is bullshit. Damn it, Benny, you fucking moron. You didn't tell us this game would take us off our planet. I didn't know, Benny answered. I wanted to know if there was something out there. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Well, something is out there, and it's toying with us. Are you happy, Benny? Greg's reply ended Benny and Josie's argument before I could. Guys, cool it. We have to figure out how to get out of here. Look, we have about an hour at least, but we need to find Carlton. Benny, is there anything else you can remember about the rules for the Midnight Game? I can't, guys. I'm so sorry. I went into this half prepared. I just read the basic rules. Something occurred to me as Josie began to type. I voiced it through the group chat. How are we still texting each other? Josie's text box vanished and was replaced with Greg's. I'm not sure, actually. Somehow we still got a connection, and we shouldn't take it for granted. If we lose this connection, we're screwed. We have to stay together. Josie, you said you're in the basement, right? I'll try to get over there and help you. Benny, Larry, try to find Carlton. We'll meet in the cell this all started in, okay? What about the crazy guy? Someone had to say it. Might as well be me. I waited intently for a reply. The flickering flame of my candle keeping the green light from the outside at bay. Greg was the only one to respond. I don't know, just try to avoid him. Now, everyone got the plan? A slew of text in the affirmed followed. Okay. Good luck, guys. Stay safe. I waited a few minutes, but no new messages appeared in the group chat. That left me with one option. I had to get out of the cupboard. Carefully, I pushed the door open with my foot. The entire kitchen was bathed in that sickly green light from outside. I wasn't able to help myself and glanced out the window at the source. There, high above us, in the dark sky was a burning ball of gas the color of a corpse. The landscape was almost identical to the forest we'd gone through to reach this asylum, and the flowers dotted the field. But it was gray, barren, and lifeless. Nothing moved. I had to stuff my phone in my pocket as I picked up a knife, if only to convince myself I could fight back against whatever we were up against. The knife was coated in rust, and the handle had worn away, revealing the metal skeleton beneath. Parts of the blade had been chipped away, leaving it jagged and gnarled. I pushed open the doors of the kitchen slowly, imagining a hulking shape of a man waiting on the other side. His arms would shoot out and grab my neck, and nothing. There was nothing. Just an empty hallway, spray paint covering the walls, while the sickly green sunlight poured in from the outside. Where was he? Be careful, said a voice next to my ear. There are worse things than people in this place. Something brushed through my hair. It felt like a swarm of 5 thin, hard worms. Every fiber of my body screamed at me to run and never stop running, but I couldn't bring myself to move an inch. Like a statue, I was rooted to the spot. A distant, inhumane howl came down the hall. That made me move. Melted wax dripped onto my skin, but I didn't care. I walked slowly down the hall, knife held in my shaking hand. Every step was made with a gentle touch, in case I made the slightest noise. The only thing I could hear was my breathing, which echoed off the walls around me. I stopped, my mouth shut. The breathing didn't stop. Fear, said a voice, one of the 5 voices from the cell. Fear, Fear. Fear. We are fear. My candle went out. I dropped my knife as I struggled to relight it, and by the time I had, my heart was pounding in my chest. I had just picked up my knife again when there was an enormous crash from down the hall in front of me, followed by that inhumane howl. I remained frozen, looking at the end of the hallway. A massive window waited for me, the green light that passed through it casting an ill haze. In the light, shadows seemed to converge together. A figure slowly appeared, undeniably human, but with pencil-thin fingers and elongated limbs. The head that formed was hideous in its outline, a caricature of a human face. I could make out fat lips that stuck out too far from the face, twisted teeth that stabbed through the gums. Green, crooked eyes glared at me hatefully, while strands of thin hair fell off a tumor-ridden head. The figure moved, then vanished. I gripped my candle tighter. Larry. I spun around to face behind me. Carlton. That was Carlton's voice. Larry. I spun around again, facing behind. That wasn't Carlton talking. I continued walking slowly, hand gripping the knife as I was assaulted by my friend's disembodied voice, repeating my name, always from a new location. In front of me one instant, behind me the next, above me, beneath me, inside me even. Larry, 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 Larry. I wanted to scream at it to go away, but I couldn't make a sound. I'd break the rules if I did. I just kept walking. I was mounting a set of stairs when a glass bottle covered in dust rolled across the top step, then gently began to descend the stairs. I was in the very middle step when it passed me, and I watched it. Something was in the dust. I bent down quickly and grabbed the nose of the bottle, picking it up and holding it to my face. It was my name. My name was written in the dust. But that wasn't all. Larry, it's behind you. I knew that was a lie and dropped the bottle as I continued up the stairs. A window pane was waiting for me at the top. When I reached the last step, a small squeak made me freeze. I turned to the window. Dust and grime covered it, like the bottle, and an invisible finger slowly dragged a thin line down one side of it. When it stopped, another thin line stretched out from the bottom, eventually making a capital L. I watched as my name was written on the window, but that wasn't all. Larry, they are what lies beneath. Josie's gonna wake them up, Larry. She's gonna scream, and they will wake up. I turned away from the window and entered the third floor. I didn't know how I was going to find Carlton. I just thought he might be up here. My phone buzzed. I quickly stuffed the knife in the crook of my arm and pulled it out. A text message from Benny. Guys, I found the door to the basement. There's 2 hospital beds stacked against it. I'll move them and get Josie out. Don't make too much noise, I text back. Otherwise, that crazy man might hear you. And then, someone screamed. I froze, looking up from my phone. I knew that voice. My heart went cold when that screaming stopped. One single thought went through my head. They got Greg. 2 down, said a voice next to my ear. 3 left. 2 down, 3 left. The voice giggled. You're going to lose the midnight game. I ignored it. I pulled out my phone and checked for any messages. Nothing. I frantically began typing a text when my candle went out. In my haste to relight it, I once again had to drop my knife and stow away from my phone. Candle relit. A sharp noise from behind me made me turn around. I'll never forget what I saw. It was Carlton, his face gaunt and pale, his eyes sunk deep into his face, his hair white, arms crossed over his body. I blinked in surprise and then began running towards him. willing myself not to scream his name. Carlton remained stock still as I wrapped my arms around him, careful not to burn him with my candle. Then he spoke. I felt my blood run cold. "Larry," he said. It wasn't the voice of my friend since kindergarten. It was a hollow, distant, empty voice. No human being could have made it. There was no cadence at all. "Larry." I let go of Carlton and stepped back from him. Looking into his haunted eyes, I felt something stir within me. A pit of some primal fear, atavistic in its simplicity. "Run," Carlton said. "Run, Larry." He took a step forward, and I ran. I ran as fast as I could, not daring to stop for even a second. Like a rat between the walls, I turned each corner with complete carelessness. Spray-painted words of red, black, purple, and other colors passed me. They spoke to me. What lies beneath? They are what lies beneath. They stir. They are waking. What happens when they wake? I was sure it was just my mind playing tricks on me. I'm sure of it, because I didn't dare consider the idea it wasn't. By the time I'd stopped running, I was in a room with a rusted steel table, moldy curtains, and a tray with twisted surgical instruments. An operating room. That's what it was. It was obvious at a glance. Something moved in the corner. My eyes snapped to it. It was a rat. A big black rat with two dark eyes that stared into me. It sat on its hind legs, nose twitching as its front paws were held out in front of it. It winked, then turned around and darted to the corner, literally. The pink tail slithered into the wall through a hole. My candle was still gripped in my hand. I tightened my grip, unwilling to take my eyes off the corner. The fifth's voice spoke in my ear. "Ah," it said. "How interesting. A rat that winks. Who do you think taught it to do that?" It paused. I felt something lightly touch my shoulder. A gust of warm air blew over my ear before it spoke again. "Do you think you could fit in the walls if you tried?" The rat reappeared in the hole, head tilted impatiently. Its nose twitched, and then suddenly sprang out, rushing across the floor towards me. I almost screamed when it reached my leg. Then it jumped into the air next to me and stopped in midair, claws latched onto something. I couldn't see as its teeth began furiously chewing. "Oh my," said the fifth voice, amused. "It's got my leg." Somehow, I could feel its gaze focus on me. "Are you going to turn down a gift horse?" I heard footsteps behind me, slow, shuffling, patient steps, and a dry, empty husk of a voice saying my name, getting closer. Carlton had found me. He'd never lost me, had he? I took my chance and ran towards the corner. I knew it wouldn't be able to fit through the rat hole, but somehow, a part of me that hadn't been used for generations, since days of cavemen, knew that I had to get into the wall. I began kicking at it, imagining it would take a few good kicks to knock it down. It fell apart on the first kick. There was a squeak behind me, and I didn't get the chance to turn around before the rat rushed past my legs and through the widened hole. I followed instantly. The space between the walls cramped, yet wide enough for me to walk through. My candle guided me every step, keeping the rat in view the whole time. When it turned a corner, I followed. I didn't think until later about why Hammond Asylum had walls large enough to accommodate a person, let alone someone my age. When my phone buzzed, the rat stopped and turned around, looking right at me. I paused. The rat seemed annoyed at this, as it squeaked, nodding its head. I took the hint and pulled out my phone. It was a message from Benny. "Guys, I've got Josie out the basement. We're heading to the front entrance. I can't find Greg or Carlton. What about you, Larry?" I began to reply when Benny sent another message. "Wait, I can see Greg. He's in the west wing." My eyes widened. I immediately changed my message. Benny, don't go near Greg. Don't go near Carlton. Find somewhere else to hide, and I'll come get you. Josie replied to me before Benny could. Larry, what are you talking about? I began typing when I heard a scream. It wasn't Benny. It wasn't Josie. It was an inhumane howling scream from directly beneath me. The rat squeaked again, agitated. From beneath me, I heard footsteps pounding across the floor. From behind me came a slow, distant voice. Larry. I looked at the rat and stuffed my phone away. I was about to get the knife when I realized something. I'd lost the knife, hadn't I? The voice spoke again, coming closer. Larry, I'm coming. The rat turned away and began running. I followed it. I kept following it until a hole opened in the floor. It seemed to swarm and convulse, like a mouth opening to reveal the darkness beneath. The rat went first, and I followed. I didn't think, I just jumped. A sharp pain raced through my legs when I hit the ground and hissed through my gritted teeth. Then I took in my surroundings. Rats. More big black rats, all staring at me. There was a rush as some of them swarmed upwards, and the hole closed. The rest regarded me with a suspicious glare, almost like they were accusing me of something. I held my candle as I slowly turned around, seeing the entire room was covered by the rats. Far more rats than I'd ever seen or would see again. In the candlelight, their incisors gleamed when a few opened their mouths. One of the rats crawled forward. I paused, looking down at the rat as it stood up on its hind legs. It winked at me, then turned around. It chirped. The other rats skittered away, revealing a door. On the other side, I could see the hallway, illuminated by that green sunlight. The rat looked back up at me for a moment, then rushed forward and crawled underneath. I had just managed to reach the door myself when the door opened on its own. The rat was sitting patiently on the other side. Slowly, I poked my head out the door and looked down the hall, checking first my right, then my left. Empty. The hallway was completely empty. I breathed a sigh of relief, and then my candle went out.